everyone, and welcome to Winging It and Winning, where you will be motivated and encouraged to follow your dreams. Today I am here with the founder of Together We Rise, a non-profit organization helping children in foster care. Together We Rise helps 250 children every day. Please help me welcome a friend of the podcast, Danny Mendoza.
Hey, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to do this.
Well, thank you, Danny. Thank you for taking the time. I know you're a very busy man running a very, very awesome nonprofit. So I'm going to get into it because we don't have too much time, and your story is so heavy with so much details that I really want to make sure that our viewers and our listeners are able to really understand what you've been able to accomplish. Okay?
Perfect.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what motivated you to start this nonprofit.
Yeah, so the big motivation for me to start Together We Rise was when I was 19 years old, I found out that my 9-year-old cousin was living in a car. And for me, he was kind of new. It wasn't, it just hit me out of nowhere. I was on track to do what I wanted to do with my life. And basically just, what can I do? And, I was learning about foster care in the process to see if that's something that would benefit my cousin. And, through that process, I learned that, foster care sucked. There was so many statistics that were just setting up, my family member and others for failure. And so I just knew that I had to do something. And I didn't know that it was going to be Together We Rise. I didn't know what it was going to be. I just knew that I couldn't just sit back and not do anything. And so that's how we started. Literally just the whole motivation to do something. And, honestly, I think I got like an advertisement for LegalZoom.com on my MySpace that said how to start a nonprofit, which was ironic when everything was happening. They've been listening and searching our Google searches for a long time. So, that was back in 2008. So that happened. And, I think a few clicks later, I had my own nonprofit. And, that was just the beginning of, everything else.
So in 2008 is when you started the nonprofit. What was the basis of the mission at the time of Together We Rise? What was the whole, what did you guys do at that time?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, the whole goal was, how were everybody that was involved in Together We Rise, how did we all know each other? And so when I posted the volunteer opportunity, everyone that came together, we were all friends through sports. So we wanted to do something. So we're like, how do we, help kids find the friendship that we had that helped us get to where we got to? So we started doing sports camps for kids, and that's the very basis of how we started. And then from there, we started meeting kids and hearing their stories, and we learned that, they wanted bicycles. That's all they wanted. Like, can you just buy us a bike? And we started buying bicycles, and once we started buying bicycles and meeting more and more kids around the country, we started to learn about the trash bags, and how that basically when they enter foster care, they get 2 trash bags, and they have about a few minutes to grab all their belongings, and that's how they transfer from home to home. And for us, we just knew we had to do something, and for us, that's kind of where the beginning of Together We Rise went from just like a local nonprofit here in Southern California to a national organization.
That's awesome. I remember meeting you at, I worked for a foster care agency, and I remember this young man coming in and speaking to us social workers about what he was doing with his nonprofit. And I was just like in awe of everything that you've been able to accomplish at such a young age. And ever since that day, I've always rooted for you and for Together We Rise, and so I knew that when I had this idea to do a podcast, I was like, oh, Danny would be great, and I'm really inspired because, like you said, it just started so small, just you and a couple of friends saying, how can we make a difference?
Yeah,
and
that's literally, that was it. There was nothing more. I've never volunteered before this. I've never ran a business. I've never been a boss. We just started doing it.
That's awesome. Can you tell me about the programs that Together We Rise offers now?
Yeah, so we offer a wide range of programs, from scholarships to holiday giveaways to reuniting siblings at Disneyland, and to just the entry-level stuff of the duffel bags, bicycles, birthday boxes. Our main goal has transferred a little bit to a way that allows more and more people to help. So when we first started it, Together We Rise was just, Danny's friends, and we just go and volunteer. And as we grew and we met more and more people that wanted to help, we were trying to figure out, well, how do we get them to do something? Because we need to create these opportunities because people do want to help. And so now everything we do is focused on either providing a way that you can help at work, providing a way that you can help at church, providing a way you can help at home, or creating volunteer opportunities or mentor opportunities. And now it's so much more than just sports. It's so much. I mean, the scholarship program alone is life-changing. It's about $90,000 that they qualify for to pay for the next 5 years of school. Right now we're currently in COVID, and we have rapid response funding, which we've, I don't have the exact number, but just in housing alone, it's been over $500,000 in hotels for kids that are in college that have been kicked out of their dorms because of COVID, or their housing situation has changed because it's no longer available, or they lost their job. And so we've been providing some awesome funding for that, and thanks to all the partners out there that provided the grants. But it's been super flexible on what we do. We just want to make sure that, one, people can help, and that two, it's making a difference.
For sure. And I saw the video that you guys have on your website, and how there were actually college students giving their testimonies on how Together We Rise Emergency Fund helped them be at peace. Because when the dorms closed, who would have ever thought, first of all, we would be in a pandemic where we'd had to leave school, right? We never thought that we'd be in this situation, being in one of the most wonderful countries of the world. Anyways, it's very, like, when I saw those videos of those kids, like, I even got teary-eyed, because it was like the simple act that you just had an ability, like, I just want to help. And look at the impact it's having on those individuals who didn't have to think about where they're going to lay their head, where they were going to eat. Because of your emergency fund, you were able to help them.
Yeah, and talk about winging it. Like, that started on a Slack message of, hey, we're closing. Can someone check in on the scholarship kids? And we did, and a few of them needed housing. And we're like, cool, well, they're covered. It's part of their grant. It's part of their funding. And we just like, well, what about every other kid that doesn't have our scholarship? And, we made a decision, like, literally, like, let's make sure that, kids have a place to go. And we, invested $75,000 to start into this objective to help that and identify that. And then we started hearing responses of so many, youth that, are literally 19 to 23 years old that needed help, and, they didn't know where to go. And there was articles that dorms are closing, schools are closing, nobody knows what's real on the news or not. It just was so confusing. And ultimately, about 15 clicks in, you'll find out that most dorms will stay open for homeless and foster youth. But it took us so much time to find that. And so all these youth were contacting us saying, like, no, they told me, like, literally they just told me, like, they don't sit around campus and hold a sign that says foster youth, right? They just, like, all my friends are getting kicked out. I gotta go. Where am I going? I'm scared. My job's closing. And we were able to help them, whether, okay, no, you can actually stay, or, okay, let's find you temporary housing until they figure it out. Because the schools, they're not prepared for this. We had hotels calling us. They weren't prepared for this. They're like, hey, we'll help. We just do, we don't know if we pay up front, or we'll try to get the money back from the school. We can give you a discounted rate now. The rates will be changing. It just was so crazy. And, for everyone involved, when you have parents, or when you have this term that we use here, it's just funny and silly at the same time, is safer at home. To say safer at home, you are privileged. Whatever your financial status is, safer at home is not the case for every person in this country. And, for our kids, there was no home, there was no safe. We had to make sure that we created that environment. And we started the fund with, hey, if you have an extra bedroom in your house, can you open it up for someone to stay there? And then people started asking, well, how long? We're like, 30 days, 60 days maximum. And here we are, 6 months, 7 months later. That's not what they signed up for. And luckily some, helped be up above and beyond that. And some, were like, hey, we need a transition plan, or hey, can we get them a hotel? This is no, we don't know. And then you have older people that like, yeah, we'll take them in, and the next thing you know, older people are the people that are, at risk the most. And it's just like, oh shoot, what do we do? Like, how is this teen, like this teen is literally locked in a room because they can't do anything for the safety of their host. So it was very complicated, but so many awesome youth that were doing everything right in life, were impacted, and it was our job to do something. And I'm just so grateful and glad that people jumped on board, because we didn't have the financial means to do that. We lost all of our events we had for the rest of the year. We didn't know if people were going to donate because they may have lost their job, but just we literally winged it, and we had the capable team to do it, and it turned out beautifully. Like, I'm so proud of what the team has done, and was so excited that we just made it happen.
Yeah, and I love that term, right? Winged it, because sometimes we are scared. We don't know exactly how it's going to pan out, but you went with your gut, and you went with like, okay, how are we going to fix this? What can we do to help? Let's just figure it out along the way. And I'm sure you guys probably had bumps along the way, but you guys worked it out, and it helped so many people. So that's amazing. When you started your nonprofit, did you have any like mentors, or who was like, did you wing that also? Like, did you have mentors that helped you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, till this day, I'll tell you, I still don't know what I'm doing, because it's always evolving, it's always changing. Like, even today, like, everyone's worked from home for the most part, and it's just like, I've never ran an organization from home. I've never created assignments or tasks or managers to work from home. We're learning, right? So when we started Together We Rise, I'd never started a business. I'd never volunteered. I knew nothing. So I had a friend, actually he's on our board now, but he had a business, and that's all I knew. I didn't know what kind of business. I just knew he had a business. So I went to his house, and I was like, hey, I just started this nonprofit last night. I knew you had a business. We're not the best of friends, but can you help me? And like, his joke was, he always tells it to his friends. He's like, well, here, I'll write you a $4,000 check. And I was like, whoa, $4,000? Like, no, like, I honestly wouldn't even know what to do with it. I don't even have a bank account. Like, I just started this nonprofit. And then he just like started helping me on the business side of things. And he always jokes now that like, dang, I should have just gave you that $4,000 because I'm so invested into to see you succeed. But he just helped me, like, setting up a board, getting my bank account, learning about our articles of incorporation, of all these things that I did fill out because of a simple website that did it all for me, but I knew nothing about it. So he really helped me on the business side of things. In regards to nonprofits, I've never really had a mentor in that space. I've always taken a different approach, and I've always been trying to like relate and find people that have done it the way that I've done it. And it's just, I've never had that opportunity. And the people I look up to are not always easily accessible, and I just have big dreams, and unfortunately, those people are really hard to try to get to be your mentors. But I've had different mentors, and I think more just on the life side, that when you're going through a tough situation, that help you get through it. Because it's not just like, okay, you need a business mentor or a nonprofit mentor. It's like, people are going to quit, or people are going to steal, or you're going to be stressed and overwhelmed. It's making sure you have someone to talk to get over that. And because people think like, oh, you started a nonprofit or you started a business, everything is good. You're going to have free time and all this great lifestyles. And I mean, it's the complete opposite, at least the first few years. Mm-hmm. And, I'm grateful that I had that one person just to teach me about the basics of business. And I think the other is just, Google has been my mentor in regards to just learning how to search things and learning the different ways you can search things. I think to me that's been a game changer. That is my end all be all. There's so much incredible information on the internet. I mean, I don't know how people lived without it. You have a phone in your pocket that literally can tell you how far you are from the moon right now. And so to me, it's like you can learn so much, from how to hire someone, how to get a donation, what do they need after a donation, and so I mean, I think it's it's just a shout out to anybody that has ever contributed to a blog or testimonial or a forum that has helped so many people like me, get through those situations.
And also what I heard earlier when you were talking about, if you had any mentors, you took initiative to reach out to somebody and ask for help. They didn't come to you and say, hey, Danny, I want to help you. I see this. You took initiative. And I think so many people are scared to take the leap of faith and say, you know what, you even said you're not close with that person, but you attempted anyways. And it was a snowball effect. He not only wanted to help you, but now he's continuing to help you. And then a lot of other people jumped on board, right?
Yeah, I think it's scary to ask someone for help. And I think the one thing that I've learned, someone once told me that a closed mouth never got fed. And to me that meant, they always told me, like, Danny, if you ask someone for help, and if they say no, it was already a no when you didn't ask. So the worst you're going to get is the same answer that you already had. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was like, okay. Because I personally hate asking people for help. Because, I'm just like, I want to work with people that want to help. Mm-hmm. But I do understand that, part of my job is to convince people to help. And I don't like to convince people to help, but it's also that part of me that is scared to ask for help, but it's important. It's, why am I going to do something that someone has already done it, they're already an expert at it, and they could just give me 30 minutes of their time every quarter, and it would save me, days on the time that I would do to research it? Or why should I learn from my mistakes when I could learn from their mistakes? So it's been super helpful in different areas of, it's just, how do you ask for help is also the next step. And there's different levels of that. There's articles all over the internet that could teach you how to ask for help, because you can't just say, I need help. You got to make it easy for them. You got to make them feel part of your story, because genuinely there's some incredible, great people. Like I'd be happy to help someone 1 hour a quarter. What's an hour of my life? It's not going to kill me. It's not going to take so much away from me. And I think it's creating that opportunity and doing it right. And I think that's the scary part, though. It's been scary for me. It's been scary for a lot of people that have gone through this. But you have to take that leap.
I love that you said if they say no, they've already had, that was the answer from the beginning. So you're not doing anything different. They were not going to help you if they didn't want to help you. Another thing though is a lot of people are waiting to be asked. A lot of people want to help, they just don't know how, or they don't have the resources or the time to start a nonprofit. So why not link up with someone who's willing to do it, and they can be a part of that by helping. So I think that, like you said, asking for help is the first step. Even though we don't like rejection, I think that we just have to take the leap of faith and do it, because it's going to lead into a snowball effect.
Correct.
And like you said, why make the same mistakes somebody else already made? Learn from their mistakes, right?
Yeah, and it's so hard to understand that simple concept, but I think we're so stubborn as humans. We would rather just do it ourselves, and then you get the same result.
Yeah, and also what I think propelled you to be where you're at also is asking for help and hiring those people who were good at things that you were not good at. Because I think a good leader knows their weaknesses and their strengths. And I think that you mastered that early in the game, where you're like, you know what, I'm going to ask for help, and I'm going to hire people who know, something about the other things that I'm not good at.
Yeah, and that's hard. It's hard to admit that as a leader, that you need this help, and it's hard to make that decision for people as they go through it, but it's important. I tell people all the time here, and sometimes they look down upon them like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's why you're here. You're the expert in this area. We need your help. I may ultimately have to make that ultimate decision, as that's my role, but I need the great advice. I need your expertise so that we can move forward. And it's tough. A lot of leaders want to be the best at everything and think it's a negative that they're not the smartest person in that room. And for me, it's like, no, I've never once said that this is what I wanted to do. I just stumbled upon it, and everyone that's been a part of our story has helped us get further, because now I guess I should be an expert in the nonprofit world, but there's so much to learn. From financials to stewardship to giving, to the impact, to the data, like quantitative, qualitative, like it's just like, whoa, like
takes me back to college.
Yeah.
Like quantitative, no, I don't want to hear it.
I took that class twice in college. That research is no joke.
No joke.
You need people that are good at that, and there's incredible people out there that are.
Yeah, you nor I are good at that. I admit that. I'm horrible at data. But anyways, I think that, I'm just so inspired by you. And I think that hopefully people listening will be inspired also and know, like, you don't have to know everything to take the leap of faith, because you never know where it's going to end up. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think most businesses didn't start by, knowing exactly their business plan. Like, I didn't have a business plan and we were successful. I think it's like 6% of nonprofits make it over $1 million budget, and then like less than 1% make it over $5 million. And we're in that 1%. And I started this with nothing. Like, I started this in my parents' bedroom. I just had the ambition, and I just knew that it was going to get hard. And when things would happen, I had the right people that would just tell me to keep going forward. And that's what you need. You need to surround yourself with positive people, that if this is something you want to go to, just know that there's going to be hard times and that you can get through it. Because there's always that image in my head where you show two people digging and one gives up and they're like 1 foot away from success, and the other person just keeps digging, because it does get hard, and it's, you just cannot quit. And that's what really builds the person of who they are, whether it's still starting their own company or nonprofit, but they can also go do something else. But you learn so much from failure.
Yeah, and that's why I said winging it and winning, because even when you lose, you fail at something, it's still a win, because to know what doesn't work is just as important as knowing what does work, right? It's just as important. And it's a mindset too. You have to really understand that losses aren't about what you did. It's just about, there's a lesson to be learned, right? You have to get back up and go back at it again, just a different way.
Yeah, some people don't take losing as a personal thing. The goal is that you learn your lesson, you won't do it again. And if you're really smart, you learn from other people's lessons. And that's what I think wisdom is, right? Is you take the advice, because it's a really solid reference, but you see it in people's relationships. They come for you for advice, they tell you what to do, and you don't do it. I think that's just as simple as you can get, and people don't understand that, and that applies to business. And I wish that people would just take the advice and make something with it, because you don't need to learn from your mistakes. You need to learn from other people's mistakes, because you're not the only one going through that situation.
Awesome. Danny, what would you say Together We Rise has taught you?
Oh man, I think it's taught me too much, to be honest. And I'm still learning every single day. But one thing that I've learned is, and I think that'd be applicable to a lot of people as founders, is not everyone has to have the passion that you have, and that is 1,000% okay. And for me, I learned very on. I was so passionate about this. I didn't understand why either my volunteers or employees or interns were not devoting their life to this. And it would affect me negatively, because I was like, wait, like how? Why isn't it finished? Like, what are we doing? Like, these kids need this. This is an important part of our vision. And I lost some people that, because I didn't understand that. I learned that very on, and I've lost a friend over it, and just like, have to understand that not everything you do with passion means that the people around you have to have that same one, because they don't need that same one passion that you have, and they can still be a part of your story. They can still be incredible people, because all those people that were a part of that were amazing. Like, I was blessed to have them in my life, but I just was like so motivated and hard driven that it was actually a negative thing. So I learned that I have to kind of check my passion a little bit to know, when is it okay, when is it not, when other people are on board, what to expect from them, when to not put too much on them, to be okay that this isn't everybody's life, and it should not be. It's overwhelming, it's stressful, it's great most of the time, but it is hard.
And that's kind of what makes us amazing. We all have different passions and different routes, and everyone offers or contributes in their own way. imagine if we had like a whole room full of Dannys, you know? People were like, oh my God. So it's great that you acknowledge that now and you understand. But I also understand as a young person trying to make this happen. I mean, when I started this podcast, I had so much fire in me, like, let's get it done. And I was like, I've never felt that before. But when you know what you want to do, or when you have an idea, it's kind of like you're trying to do it before anyone else does. I don't know if you felt that, but I know like with this thing that I'm doing, it's like I have to hurry up and do it because somebody's right behind me about to do it, you know? So.
Yeah, I mean, there's that notion that someone else could be doing it or whatnot, and I think one thing that I've learned is not to pay attention to that. Like, so many people do what we do now, and 10 years ago, nobody, can't say nobody, but not as many people did it. But once I started focusing on what other people did, it really just confused my vision. I was so worried on trying to one-up people or trying to have a better product or a better charity that I lost what I really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so my big thing is, look, if people like us, they'll donate. If they don't, then we need to do a better job. You know, I don't want to focus on what other people are doing in regards to how they do their giving or how they run their charity. I want to focus on what my vision is for the organization, and I believe that, you know, if it's works, people will, you know, donate. People will be a part of our story. They'll be corporate partners. They'll, you know, be families that, you know, sponsor these kids, and that's what I really started to like hone in the last 4 years. It's like just do you, and you know, if they love you, they love you. If they don't, just adapt. You know, I do think it's important that, you know, you listen to your fans, your supporters, your donors, and taking their advice. You know, you take it in through different angles, right? So, but it's just important to have that kind of open air where they can contribute to.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, Danny, tell us, how can people donate to Together We Rise? Show them. I mean, I'm wearing your merch. What other things can they do to support Together We Rise if they want to give back?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to help kids in foster care, the best place to start is, you know, I believe Together We Rise. We give you an option to help without making that full commitment. And what that means is it's usually an activity that you do with your friends or your family, so you start to educate yourself. So if you just go to togetherwerise.org, there's so many different ways that you can contribute, from, you know, just giving up your birthday and having people raise money on your birthday to, you know, donating to sponsor a duffel bag. And, you know, it's like, do you want to take it a step further? Do you want to host an event with your close family and friends? But even just sharing some of our posts to inspire others, that's huge. Because if everybody did that, there's going to find a person that wants to do more. There's going to find a person that wants to give back and fill that void. Because, you know, especially right now, not everybody's in a place where just like, oh, we just have this money to donate. You know, even if you still have a job at this current time, you don't know if your job is still going to be there. You don't know what your employer is going to go through. You don't know if COVID is going to shut everything down for good. You don't know what the election is going to do. So we always ask that, you know, if you are in a place of abundance and you want to help, please do so. And if you're not, just share a post, engage in our comments, have a conversation, and just keep that like dialogue going so that we could raise awareness for children in foster care.
Love it. Well, Danny, thank you so much. Time is one of the most precious gifts you can give someone. So thank you for gifting me with your time and being a guest on my podcast.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I appreciate your time to coming out here and setting up, and I'm excited that we've been able to do that.
And for those of you listening, Danny Mendoza is a great example of what can happen when you have the desire to help and change the way things are normally done. He saw something he didn't like and he wanted to contribute, and he did. He started a nonprofit in California and is now nationwide. Remember that winging it and winning is a mindset, and only you have the power to create your best life. Thank you. Tune in. Don't forget to subscribe to my podcast and to my YouTube channel. Have a good day.